Hello, friends and health seekers, and welcome to the Allergy Free Kitchen. My name is Jolene, and I'm a wellness, gut, and allergy consultant. And my mission is to empower you to gain the knowledge that you need for self healing and self responsibility. So, today, my topic is hay fever. And it's a really good time for me to talk about this because I am right in the midst of a hay fever reaction myself. So, long story short, I went for a walk this morning. It's the middle of spring in Australia, and within about 5 minutes, my nose started. And when I say nose started, I mean the sneezing, the running, and almost like a feeling of having a cold. But I know it's not a cold. I know it is, in fact, hay fever, but it is a little bit uncomfortable. And so I sort of thought, I've been sort of waiting for this. I'm in the middle of writing a book as well and putting all this together. And I thought, you know what, there's never a better time than right when I can actually show you what it's like. So, like, I've been blowing my nose for the last couple of hours. I've taken a few natural remedies, trying to sort of, stop the reaction that I'm going through. I could have, of course, taken antihistamine, which may knock it on the head straight away, or it actually may not even do anything at this point because I feel like I'm a little bit too far gone. But I always try and seek natural remedies first. So, what I want to do is I want to share some of the information that I've gathered. So, like I said, I am writing a book called The Allergy Free Kitchen, and that's basically a decade's worth of work there. And I'm just starting to get it all together now. I've got about 100 pages, so I don't know how long it's going to take. It'll just be ready when it's ready. But in the meantime, I want to share some stuff as I go. And I've got a lot of notes here, so I'm going to refer to some of my notes too, just to make sure that I get all the information correct. So I live in Australia, and Australia has the highest rate of allergy in the world. And as it turns out, nobody really knows why that is the case. There's a lot of people looking into this, a lot of researchers, scientists, and of course, all the people that work in the allergy industries. They're all trying to work out what it is too. I have a couple of theories, but I'm not going to go into those now, other than to say that I think it has a lot to do with our environmental toxic load and perhaps just the way we're living our lives as well, our lifestyle. There's so many factors when it comes to allergy in it, in itself, but today it's just going to be about hay fever. So what can I tell you about hay fever? So in Australia, actually, 1 in 10 one-year-olds suffer from food allergy, and 1 in 5 children apparently suffer from hay fever. So I didn't realise that the hay fever was that high in the kids, but it is, it's high in adults as well, and also in our children. And there couldn't really be a worse time to be suffering from hay fever because we've got this COVID-19 going on as well. So a lot of the COVID-19 symptoms in terms of, the runny nose, and you can also get a cough from hay fever, you can get itch, you can get all kinds of things that happen to you as a result of the hay fever. And a lot of those symptoms are the same as the COVID. So when it comes to hay fever, it's considered like an abnormal reaction against something in the environment. So some of my notes here, I've said hay fever is an allergic disorder characterized by an exaggerated immune response to environmental trigger. So common examples are pollen, ragweed, cats, but it can also be things like mold, and it can be dust, and it can be flowers, and it can be anything really that's outside of us. And another name for hay fever is also allergic rhinitis. So you've got seasonal allergies, which is the ones in Australia generally just in spring, and then you've got something called perennial. And perennial allergic rhinitis, which is something I suffered from, is year-round allergies. Now, that was an absolute nightmare. So I had year-round allergic rhinitis when I was in my early 20s, and that was the really, really itchy eyes. Now, thankfully, I've grown out of that. I occasionally get itchy eyes, but nothing like what I used to. I mean, I used to scratch my eyes until they were almost like little slits. They were so uncontrollably itchy and uncomfortable, and I still really don't know what caused that. I was a bit of a party animal and a bit of a drinker, so I don't think that helped. But I think there was other things going on as well. There was other things that I was allergic to, and it was really bad for me when I was up in Broome. I remember being in Broome. It was very hot and dry up there, and I was really, really allergic. But yeah, I still haven't worked out really that, what caused that, but that was then and this is now. So what else can I tell you? So when we're talking about, hay fever and what causes it, so there's this abnormal response to the immune system, which then triggers histamine. So histamine is a signaling molecule that sends messages between the cells. So in most people, this histamine is a friend. But when it comes to a person with allergies, the histamine then becomes a foe. So we do need histamine in our bodies, but we don't need it to sort of go haywire, which is what happens in the hay fever sufferer. So, so histamine tells the stomach cells to make stomach acid. It keeps the brain awake. And what else have I got here? That's about all there. Okay, so some of the tips I've got for hay fever. So I've got this thing about keeping the windows open so I can get fresh air in, but that's actually not a very good thing to do if you're suffering from hay fever. So really you should have the windows closed, particularly if it's windy outside, because you know there's going to be a lot more pollen circulating. So you really want to close the windows and maybe just have a fan going if you can, or if you've got an air purifier, that would be amazing to have that. So when we're talking about, how come I've got allergies and how come other people have got allergies, I did mention that there's some environmental things going on there, but there's also a predisposition that they're saying is sort of partly genetic. And I know in my case, there is a long history of allergies in my family, but I also know of other families that don't have a history of allergies and they have hay fever. So there's still a lot we need to learn about hay fever and allergies, but there is some things we can do now to try and ease the burden or the suffering. And I really don't like that word suffering, but when we're talking about hay fever, it does feel like you're suffering because it's really uncomfortable. And when they're referring to hay fever, it's like, oh, you suffer from hay fever. And yeah, you sort of do suffer. And so some of the things that I take myself is one is a quercetin complex. I've found this really, really useful. So this is a natural antihistamine, and it says here that it supports your immune system, supports your blood capillary health, reduces free radicals, and it's a high-strength quercetin supported by bioflavonoids and vitamin C. So vitamin C is also a natural antihistamine. So this is a product I love, and this was recommended to me by a naturopath. So every morning I take one of these, this is in allergy season anyway, I take one of these tablets of quercetin, and then I take a vitamin C, like a teaspoon of that in water. Another product I like is this one here, which is truly vitamin C. So I just take either one or the other. And this one's got Kakadu plum in it, which is an Australian native, really high in vitamin C. So that's great too. The kids didn't really go for this one. It's got a bit of a weird taste, but you can always mix it up with orange juice or something else. Another product which is really great is just a peppermint oil. So you can just sort of sniff that, or you can put it in a diffuser, and that seems to help sort of relieve the nose as well. I also love, this is a peppermint spray, Breathe Ease. So this is a Don Tolman product, Breathe Ease, and that's just peppermint and water, I think, in that. Let's have a look at the ingredients. Distilled water, dendritic salt, tea tree, eucalyptus, and peppermint. So I beg your pardon, there's 3 key oils in there: tea tree, eucalyptus, peppermint, and they've all been shown to really help with allergies and breathing. And then I've got an eye drop here. This is the Eye of Horus eye drop. I love that. I've been using this product for years. And again, that's a Don Tolman product, and that is distilled water and dendritic sea salt. Brilliant. And then I've also got this Restore sinus spray, and I do actually take Restore every day as well, which is a supplement by Dr. Zach Bush. So if you want to know anything about any of those products, you can look them up. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm just here to share with you what I've learned so far. Now, these are my go-to antihistamines. I've got Clarentine, and this one is more like a Zyrtec. It's just the Coles brand hay fever one with a cetrizine. Now, I really try not to take these. because I just don't like the idea of taking pharmaceuticals every day. But if I wake up tomorrow and I'm still allergic, which I don't think I will be because I'm starting to feel better already, it's been a few hours now, I will take one, but I don't take these as a first point of call. And if my kids are going through allergy, I try very hard not to give them any of these either. And if I do, I would give them the Zyrtec Kids drops. It's about 10 drops. But they'd have to be suffering pretty bad for me to take them. Now, I know a lot of your regular GPs and even my allergy specialist would tell you that it's completely fine to take, these pharmaceuticals every day, and they think that they're completely safe, and they talk about all the test results and everything that have shown that they are in all the studies, but that just doesn't really resonate with me. I always try and go for natural remedies first, and I will only ever take the allopathic medicine if I really, really have to. And like I said, I really try to avoid it. So what else can I tell you here? So there was a few other interesting things I found when I was researching hay fever. So another vitamin that's been shown to really help with allergic conditions is vitamin D. So we live in Australia, and I live in a place called Murwillumbah, which is a sort of subtropical climate, and it's pretty sunny here a lot of the time, and we sort of feel like we probably get enough sun. But when you think about it, we're probably not, because we're always wearing hats, and then if we're out on a really sunny day, we're putting sunscreen on our nose. So we are sort of blocking the sun a lot as well. So I'm going to look into taking vitamin D. I think that could be really helpful. And then I told you about the quercetin, which has anti-allergy properties. That was this one here. But there's also quercetin in dark berries and in apples as well. So I love apples. They are one of the most amazing superfoods you could possibly eat. The old saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, as well as the fact that apples have over 10,000 phytochemicals. So they're like the disease fighting chemicals. So that really is a superfood, and it's full of fiber as well. So I definitely need to be eating more apples. Turmeric is another natural antihistamine. So turmeric, you can take it in a powdered form. You can also take it in capsules, and you can also buy it at the supermarket or at the markets, along with ginger. Like, it's the same sort of family. So ginger is also really good for allergies and is anti-inflammatory. So is garlic. Another interesting one was spirulina. So spirulina is the blue-green algae, and I've actually got some of that in my cupboard. So I'm going to find a way that I can perhaps make that into a smoothie, or even I'll just have it with water, and I'll start adding some spirulina into my day and see if that helps with the allergies too. You've also got green tea, so you could drink some green tea. That's really amazing. And, the other thing, what works for me is not necessarily going to work for you. So it really is an individual sort of allergy puzzle. So I'm just going to give you all the information that I know, and then you can decide